Hello there and welcome to this week's edition of Creative Critique. Now, I'm going to be taking a bit of a different tack this week in terms of doing a video review. I'm actually going to kind of do a review of how trailers operate in the film world in general, rather than doing an actual film review. So, some people may know already that I have recently been making a big deal about how studios use film trailers. So much so that in the last year or so, I have almost become a bit despondent and been more reluctant to watch film trailers out of fear that they would, well, feature some spoilerific imagery, if you will. And so much to the point that with particular films, I've actively refused to watch their trailers, which is crazy, isn't it? Rogue One: A Star Wars Story, Alien Covenant, and Thor: Ragnarok are all films I've actively closed my eyes to or turned my head away from in the cinema screen in order not to witness them. Now that seems rather excessive, I hear you say. Well, is it? This is a discussion I do want to have. Basically, I'm going to go down the line of what is a trailer's purpose. Now, I know that sounds like a rather obvious question to ask, but let's actually look at what trailers are meant to do. Two things I genuinely believe, 2 points. One is to make the public generally aware of a film's imminent cinematic arrival, and two, to create excitement and buzz for said film once it's been put out there, of course. Trailers are supposed to give you a taste of what to expect from a film, but I feel the current trend does tend to be not only to give you a taste of the film, but almost a full-on bite of the whole story arc in particular cases of some films. And some even go as far as to give you revelatory plot points, which is just nonsensical when it turns to a storytelling point of view. Now, don't get me wrong, there are great trailers that turn out to be awful films, and vice versa. There's awful trailers that end up being great films. I'm not going down that avenue. Instead, here I'm looking at primarily the big studio films and the way they currently go about marketing their films. To give a good counterbalance, I will talk about how more prestige films have recently made their trailers work, with the likes of Denzel Washington's Fences and Damien Chazelle's La La Land. These are two very good examples of films whose trailers generally give you a feel of what type of film you may see beforehand, and regardless of what I thought of either of their respective end products as films, they were an accurate representation of what their respective films gave us. So in short, they gave us the general feel of the film without revealing any major plot point and allowed the film to tell that story. Again, they're just giving us a taste of the film, not the whole piece. So why is it more of a problem in regards to the bigger films and the blockbuster film market? Well, I suppose in Maine the problem seems to be that the market is so crowded, isn't it? So unfortunately every studio is going to use every film asset they have in order to get those extra bums on seats. And if that means you're offering up some juicy plot points in order to do it, well, the studio is not going to hesitate or even flinch at this chance, clearly, are they? But this is where my problem lies with that industry at this moment in time, as clearly a film's storytelling integrity is up for sale in the marketing blockbuster world, which I know shouldn't be too much of a shock to me. But it still does disappoint me given the already lack of variation in the big films in general, that they're willing to ruin a first-time cinema moment in a trailer. I mean, who talks about how good a trailer moment is after seeing the actual film? Only weirdos like myself. To give an example of an unnecessary trailer moment, I'm going to refer to James Mangold's Logan. Logan's trailer is a very good trailer in its own right, but for me, they included a particular plot point that, although yes, it was revealed within the film itself in, say, the first 30 minutes, but was nevertheless, I would argue, unneeded in order to actually sell the film. And isn't that the point of the trailer, to sell the film? I mean, how is a Wolverine film starring Hugh Jackman not going to get the audience it requires for a studio? It was always going to do well, regardless of the trailer content. Alien Covenant was another film guilty of this, including some particular imagery that, although yes is not exposed to any particular Alien film fan, but it's still unnecessary to reveal that visual treat that a first-time cinema experience will give you. A secondary consideration, I suppose, would be to state about how long a big film's marketing campaign goes on for these days. It used to be the case that, say, you may get a first teaser or even a main trailer only about 4 months before a film release, but nowadays, in some extreme cases, we're actually seeing teaser trailers around a year ahead of their actual cinematic release, which is crazy, isn't it? And it then puts more pressure on the studio themselves to continue giving up content throughout a year's worth of promotion. Therefore, fans do, in a way, have to have at least a knowledge. There's a very small part of that industry that is forced upon the studio by a particularly an online fan community. That does not make the studios not at fault. In fact, they are more at fault than the fan community, because they're the one in control. So, what is the overall point of conclusion I'm trying to reach here? Well, honestly, I'm not sure. All I can say is that what I want for my trailers is something that is like I've said over and over again. Something that excites or intrigues myself without giving you the content that you should be witnessing for the first time in the cinema. Now, I will say, this is the first time I've done some sort of review like this. So it may be a bit hashed out in terms of this thought process and so on and so forth. But I thought I'd give it a good go and see if it would work. But I thought there's some views in there that I thought were relevant to how the trailer industry currently works in the community, and needs discussion, personally. So, like I say, it's the first time I've ever done a video which is in essence not a film review, but a discussion about how part of the film industry itself works, and so it may be something I may look at doing more in the future, but we will indeed see. Now, I thank you if you have for watching, because this is a bit more of a harder probably video to sell to somebody, but I do hope you have watched it, and if you have, please do subscribe to me. Thank you if you have watched. Please do subscribe, and I hope to see you very, very soon again. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.